out. And
Exactly.
we had over like 25 people. So managing that was obviously difficult. I'm not a knitwear person, so that was a bit difficult, but it was amazing just to be in a room of ladies who are like-minded and just wanted just to be around each other and just create something with their hands as well. That was amazing.
And I think the most important thing, because people always think, okay, why Black Girl Knit Club? But I think also at the time there wasn't, I was always going to knitwear kind of events and groups, and I could never saw anybody that was like me in the spaces. And the things I think it's really important to kind of have people that look like you to kind of push you forward. And that's kind of the basis of why we kind of set up the club.
Like from that workshop, we realized that we needed to create like an inclusive and safe space for us just to gather and unite and just share similar stories. Like some of them were from similar cultures. So just to be in a room with them and just share their stories, and they'll go to their local yarn stores and they wouldn't see anyone that looked like them, or they wouldn't come from the same background. So I think it was just important, definitely important.
And I think at the time also there was the whole trend within social media around diverse knitting.
Yes.
And the fact that there wasn't many women or crafters of colour within those particular spaces. So that was kind of quite pivotal to why we set up Black Girl Knit Club as well. So if we go on to who we are, who are we?
Who are we?
What is our background? So with myself, so I actually studied textiles knitwear at Central St. Martin's, literally around the corner from here. So literally just across the road, Sansa Cakes. I was
now you're back.
Now I'm back. So I actually studied textiles. I did knit, print and weave, but specialised in knit. And then I went on to set up my own business within knitwear. And again, funnily enough, within kind of promoting West African textiles, because obviously we're both British born, but my parents are Ghanaian. And it was always important for me to kind of bring my heritage into my work. I always did it. And then I went to work in Ghana with Kofi Ansah. And that kind of changed, an amazing Ghanaian couture designer. And that kind of changed the way I was always bringing kind of knit and print into my work. Set up my own business.
With the Prince's Trust,
with the Prince's Trust, remember? I set up my own business as a young graduate. And then funny enough, I went back to do my PG cert to lecture in textile design with Shades of Noir, which is an organisation, again, that kind of promotes encourages lecturers from lecturers of colour to be lecturers within higher education. So I did that. So I now lecture at University of the Arts in textiles knit, funnily enough. And then through that, we then obviously set up Black Girl Knit Club. So that's a bit about my background. And you, Vanessa?
Me, well, now co-founder of Black Girl Knit Club, but initially let's rewind back to 2012, graduated from Brighton University studying architectural technology. So what that is basically like the construction side of architecture. I mean, architecture is beautiful, it's fancy and everything, but we were more so like with the structural engineers, mechanical engineers, and architects as well. So basically managing the design team, making a building stand up like structurally and everything like that. And then graduated from there, did technician work. So I used to like be hours on end on AutoCAD drawing, looking at details, materials, so many different things. And then I did design coordination, and now I'm doing like interior design management. But alongside that, parallel to that, I was also in Brighton, obviously, have a great vintage like communities, so to speak. So I would scour the vintage stores, look at like what other people are not wearing and wear that. And I would literally just be in love with the fact that I'm able just to look through different rails of clothing and stuff. And then from alongside that, while I was working full time in the construction industry, I also launched my vintage boutique as well. Called Rancho Studio. And so I would literally just scour warehouses in and out of London, gather like so many different garments, high quality garments, eBay as well. The eBay was definitely big help. It was a big help. Basically turn that into a collection and then resell it onto my website. And then I think I sold on ASOS, Depop, Etsy as well. So that was like a big introduction to like creative like entrepreneur, which is now what I kind of call myself, a creative entrepreneur, because I basically find a gap and try and fill it, similar to what we're doing now. So, I think with Black Girl Knit Club, we're obviously using our crafts. We're using so many skills that we've we've basically gathered over the years.
Yeah,
Gathered over
exactly,
the years, and we're making it into like a business.
Yeah.
And I think it's just amazing to see. And definitely creativity is definitely at the forefront of it all.
And what is weird, because
Yeah.
before we even set this up, we had worked together because I'd modelled for your collection.
Yes.
We'd worked together. So I think also it's about, especially for graduates tuning in, kind of collaborating with your friends. Even if you think, okay, I'm not sure where this is going to go, but just focusing on the work as well. Because we never would have thought that us kind of working together previously as friends and collaborating has actually fed into everything that we've done.
Yes.
So never take those like off projects for kind of granted.
I think it's definitely important to obviously build a clientele with you, even if they are your friends. Build a clientele, focus on their vision as well as your vision, and make sure that you're able to like build their skills, have confidence in their skills as well as your own, so that you can obviously build that and make a project or somehow turn it into a business like we've done.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's amazing what we're doing. What do you think has been your favourite project so far?
Oh, our favourite project so far. I think I'd probably say the BBC. So because that kind of took us by surprise. So it was kind of during lockdown. We had just finished this project here, hadn't we? The Unbound. Number 2 Temple Place. So that was kind of our first exhibition within. Actually, I did love that project within a gallery space. And so we kind of got participants to use our kind of wax print cloth yarn to make different pieces. But definitely the BBC, because it was kind of out of the blue. So the producers got in contact with us and said they wanted to look at how different clubs were being creative. It was a collaboration with the photographer Martin Parr as part of the Oneness Project, which is amazing. And that was seen by like 34.
It's still on now. We still get tagged, especially before like the sewing bee.
Yes.
They literally show it on.
34 million people of us knitting. And I think for me actually, because I've just started lecturing, obviously I'm in my second year of lecturing at UAL. And I remember one of my students was like, oh my gosh, that's me. I think I saw you on TV. I was with my parents. And I think it was that thing. It was obviously also not a black student. I think it was also important for all my students to see me in that space as well. But you can start with any sort of idea, but this is how something like knitting, which people would think, okay, where can you take knitting, has meant that we've been able to work in all these different spaces. So I think that's been one of my highlights. What's been one of your highlights?
Mine has definitely been obviously Liberty. Liberty London. Obviously creating our own yarn, which is unique because no one else was doing it. And they approached us end of 2020. And to have that exclusive collaboration with them, like our products in their stores right now, I think that's just been amazing because we were prepared for it. Like we did the shoot, got the model, and obviously we created our yarn and everything. Like
and the yarn's actually just
the yarn is there. We'll talk a bit about that later. But I think that's definitely one of my favourite projects, as well as the 2 Temple Place. If you'd like to go to the next slide, sorry. 2 Temple Place, which is the Wanderer. By Yinka Shinobori, and we literally obviously talked about cultural hybridity and identity, especially being a Black British woman or person. And I think that was one of my favourites, as well as the IG takeovers, which we did
they were amazing.
6 weeks. So we gave a platform of Black makers, mainly women makers, who showcased their craft and took over our Instagram for 6 weeks. So that was also given like our community, online community, like a platform to showcase their craft. So that was, that's
and I think another one would have to be for me, Black Girl Fest.
Oh yeah.
So Black Girl Fest is hosted by, is it Nicole Crenstell?
Yes.
And that was at the Business Design Centre. And what was lovely, because we had like loads of, obviously it was all for kind of different kind of Black creatives. But again, seeing like women coming with their children and then their grandchildren and kind of them trying to knit all together or do that kind of intergenerational, the idea of how these skills are passed down and seeing it within those kind of spaces. And I thought, is that we're given a service? And I think for me, I thought that was kind of like a really great highlight to see how we kind of started out and how we're kind of meeting all these different kind of creative kind of people.
I think the visibility is definitely important. Us like being on Instagram, being on all these online platforms, and like over 500 plus subscribers to our newsletter. I think the visibility, like being able to be in this space and then being able to see us as well, is important.
And like why we're here. To give this talk at the moment.
Definitely.
Exactly. Yes.
Go on. Peacock of a Demi.
Peacock of Demi. So this is our new upcycled wax print yarn. You've got a sample of it here. Do you want
Yes.
show
Yes.
it?
I'll put
Yes.
this here. Yep.
So it's actually our piece that's now currently in Liberties.
Yes.
And what's really weird about the Liberty collaboration is almost like we've not manifested it, but
Yes. Yeah, we did.
because we went to Liberty when we first started the business, and
We were just strolling around,
Yeah.
looking at all the designer garments.
yeah, and we're like, oh, it would be great to have like our yarn, like
Yeah.
have our yarn one day, like stocked within Liberty.
Yeah. And we
then-
said it. I said
Yeah, you
one
said
day
it.
we'll be stocked here.
And then literally a year later, we got an email just before, during lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, during lockdown,
And they
yeah.
were like, we've seen your yarn. We'd love for you to kind of be stocked in our haberdashery. And we're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. So again, the Peacock of Edema, the kind of theme of this collection was kind of the reawakening of like a new spirit, a new woman. Again, the peacock is the actual fruit on the actual yarn. It's called a deme, and it's kind of it's a Togolese kind of plant, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's something.
The yam vines.
The yam vine, and it's something that's passed down through generations within
Yeah.
Togo. And I think we love the idea of how this yarn could be used by a mother. Even we have some men that knit as well.
Yeah,
children.
yeah.
Like, it can be something that's kind of passed down within generations. I can see that you've made a necklace.
Yes, this is from our workshop yesterday.
Yes.
I thought, yes, add it. Why not? Because
Yeah.
it showcases what you can make with our product, and definitely about the collection. This collection is definitely about awakening, like your confidence, sisterhood.
Yeah.
Definitely like a renewed mind. That's what the peacock on
Yeah.
the print symbolizes. So we did this campaign with the model and the editorial, and
Yeah.
definitely it's something that could be passed down like this. You can literally make it and give it to like your niece, your sister, your cousin. So yeah.
And very much linked
Yeah.
to the idea of sustainability as well.
Yes,
This idea
100%.
that, and I think for both of us, the idea of us also being British and being Ghanaian and kind of bringing our heritage into our kind of work and into
Craftsmanship.
our story, I think
Yeah.
has been very important as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Next question. What motivates us and gives us confidence?
That's quite a loaded question. But for me personally,
Yeah.
definitely seeing your concept come to light. Like,
Yeah.
That is something that's always been like my ethos personally, like creating a vision, working for it, and then just seeing it come to light, similar to our products. Like
Yeah.
we hand cut all of these like strips, and then seeing it like in Liberty, it's like, wow, that's our hard work come
Yeah.
to light. As well as that, it's just still with my hands, you making something
Yeah.
with your hands. That always motivates me, because trying to stay in a creative zone as well.
Yeah.
And having my mindset in that zone, I
Yeah.
like it. So I always trying to get that confidence while I'm in that zone, and that kind of like goes with me throughout the day
Yeah.
on my journey. What about you?
What motivates me? I think the kind of not wanting to fail. Not wanting to fail, but kind of always wanting to bring my best foot forward. I think definitely with the club, what motivates me to keep on pushing forward. I don't remember when we had, obviously it was kind of lockdown, and we had that kind of our online series.
Yeah, that was good.
And it was surprising because we kind of put the kind of Zoom link out, and we had women from like America, someone from Brazil. Like, you're in Brazil.
Yeah.
Brazil. And then we also had, a student, I remember a specific student who was doing her MA thesis around Black women and mental health. And she didn't have like a focus group. And she asked us if she could use the Black Girl Knit Club.
Yeah.
And again, it was almost, she was able to kind of use our platform. We were able to do like a separate workshop to support her thesis. And again, it was the kind of idea that this has like a bigger purpose. Like, women are coming to the groups all the time. Just like, I just want to be like, around women that look like me. And to push my skills forward. And I think that motivates me to want to do better, to create a space where they can be creative and kind of build their confidence. So whenever I'm like, well, I'm tired, or I'm not too sure whether this is going to go well, I think the picture is bigger, and we're having a bigger influence. And I think that motivates me to keep on pushing forward. And I think also us kind of hitting these milestones, like, we've done the BBC, we're doing this talk today.
Yeah.
We just did the Power Off Festival yesterday. It's something by Daniel Peters, looking at kind of Black culture, identity and creativity. And even us just being Black female creatives,
Founders,
being like,
yeah.
you know, lecturers, even for my students. I always say, and I always say to you, you can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that if we represent that, then that is important not only for ourselves, for our future children, for the next generation. It's you know, that's what motivates me to keep on, like, come on, Sigs, you've got to just keep on doing it. So
Yeah, and I think it's important to say who you want to be as well.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
When you've come out of like uni and stuff, and you want to be content creator and a writer, I think it's important for you to actually say,
Yeah.
I am a content creator.
Yes.
I am this.
Yeah.
Is, even though it's like a job, but it is who you are.
Exactly.
And you know that this will obviously lead you on your journey to be where you want to be.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. So just keep on
Yeah.
manifesting those good words.
that's it. That's it.
Community.
Yes.
This is a all sorts of questions. So how important is it building a community within our Black Girl Knit Club brand?
Community is like, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's 100% everything, what we do, who we are. Like, even with our workshops in East London,
Yeah.
I think without them, we wouldn't be having workshops.
Yeah.
Without our online community, we wouldn't be building a platform. So I think it's definitely important. We need them, basically.
Yeah.
We definitely do need them to empower the community through skills.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah.
Kind of important.
Yeah, and I think definitely in terms of, if we think about kind of it being lockdown and us
Yeah.
having to move everything again online. And again, like I was saying, when we had our first kind of online workshop during, I think it was during the rise of Black Lives Matter, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and
that
then
was
we
in
had
June.
we just had like a drop-in session, and we had, like I was saying, we had women from like Brazil, Sweden, Africa, America, and again, just having that support and that space.
Yeah. The space is the important
Yeah,
part.
yeah, and also being able to also connect with people like Black Girl Fest and all these other different communities doing things with the Craft Council and with schools.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of about giving back and supporting our communities. I think definitely for us, it's something that's helped us to kind of push our brand forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
100%. Yeah. Next question. So what have been we always get asked this question, what have been the challenges in us kind of running our own business?
Business. I think it's time.
Time, yes.
Working full time.
Yeah.
Managing this, which is kind of becoming our full time. It's been manic, especially over like lockdown.
100%,
where obviously
yeah.
You think things will quiet down, but it's been one of our busiest times with like 3 projects running at the same time.
Yes.
Which are launching soon.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the time to actually manage it all.
Yeah.
I think that's been the challenging part, as well as your mindset within that time.
Yeah.
Because something it's so easy just to be like, oh, I know I'm working. I know that work is important as well. But obviously, this is important because
Yeah.
we know the bigger vision and we know what we want to do outside of our job role, so to speak. But yeah, I think it's just time, and also because we're friends as well.
Yes.
Being business partners as well, that's a whole nother dynamic to our friendship. So obviously knowing the fine line of staying professional as well as being friends, so obviously speaking to one another in a good way, in a good manner, professional way as well.
Yes, exactly.
And obviously some people could take it the wrong way, but I don't think that's how we are. So
No.
obviously it's like a good marriage because we wear so many hats within our
Exactly.
brand. So yeah, mindset, time, and just obviously friendship and professionalism.
I think I definitely say having a clear kind of business strategy as well.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes as I know, being from a textiles background and being with a creative head, I'm all about let's just make things. But when you have to sit down, and I think me having my business before and having like the Princess Trust and kind of having a clear kind of budgets and your accounts and things like that. So I definitely say for any graduates that are thinking about going down the kind of entrepreneurial route, thinking about other kind of skills you can pick up, whether it's kind of doing an extra kind of short course or trying to kind of build or boost up your kind of skills. I think that's been the challenge, and kind of looking at funding and other areas to kind of boost.
Kind of honing in on your ideas because of the budget.
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that you definitely will develop over time as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Love this question. So what is next for Black Girl Knit Club and our journey?
A lot of things.
I know.
Exciting things. But I think it's more so executing our ideas for our community. I think that's the main thing. Hopefully we'll go into more brand partnerships. Hopefully there's a few in the works as well.
Yeah.
We really want to expand our e-commerce as well.
Yeah.
Because we've got prints, we've got postcards, we've got our own yarns. So hopefully we want to try and go down the DIY route of having our own kits, creating something, maybe like with this bag and everything like that. We do have a book coming out as well.
Yes, that's been something that's been really exciting. That's another. We've had so many exciting things come through during lockdown. So we were approached by a publisher.
Yeah.
And so we're launching our book. I think it's out in October, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Mindful Makes. So
there's a wellness.
It's a wellness book. Yeah. So that's something that we never would have expected that we're working on at the moment. So books, definitely having our own kits. Obviously, we have the yarns, but we'd love to have, create your own scarf, create your own hat. More learning content, especially for our community. Would love to do stuff within Ghana. Take it, and we've got a massive American community. So we'd love to do stuff within the States if anyone wants us. We're here. So definitely. So definitely more global things. Our book is coming out.
And I think more so of the how-tos and the learning platform as well.
Yes.
Obviously, we want to enhance the next generation. So I think having that learning platform of, just looking at the content of how to actually knit.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what you want to boost as well, definitely.
And definitely more work within schools.
Yes.
Yeah, that's been one. I think I was definitely doing Black Girl First and working with these young kind of girls and things. I think definitely kind of improving their skills is kind of something we definitely want
to do. Definitely
take forward. So that's us.
That's about it. Yes. So the next part of this section will be introducing Beatrice of Korlekie, who is a luxury, modern, fun label, and she specialises in occasion knitwear as well. And her products are built on principles and it modernises knitwear basically. So obviously people think knitwear is associated with like grandmas or like the older generation, which is true, but she kind of has a spin on it and she makes it fun and she makes it beautiful. And
amazing.
She also uses different traditional methods of crochet and knit as well, and using like sustainable materials as well. So if you'd like to welcome Beatrice on the stage.
Hey.
Hi Beatrice, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to be with you guys.
Nice to meet you.
What's up?
Thank you for joining us here on
GFW
Live. Definitely. It is our first talk, so it's amazing to see you in person. And actually get to know a bit about you, actually. Awesome. So who was Korlekie?
Oh, so it's amazing to be here, actually. Yes. I'm an alumni of Graduate Fashion Week. Let's not say the year, you know how I am. But no, thanks for having me. And when we talk about Korlekie is, it means Queen of Eagles.
Yes.
So,
there we go. There she is.
There she is.
It means Queen of Eagles, so I'm Ghanaian as well. And it comes from my father's tribe, the Ga Dangbe in Ghana. So I think when people think about African countries, they tend to group us together. But even within an African country, like Ghana, you've got many different tribes. And it was just really nice one day when I was doing my own fashion, when I was doing a fashion course, and my dad comes and he goes, I think you should call your brand Korlekie. And I was like, you've given me this middle name, but you and mum have never told me what it means. It's just there. I kind of like its uniqueness, but what does it mean? And so he told me it's Queen of Eagles, and it's something that in his tribe, the kings or the queen of the tribe, and when they have a son or a daughter, the son will be Kole, which means eagles, or the daughter Korlekie, etc. So I was like, I really love that name. And I guess, the meaning behind it, for me, being of mixed heritage, so obviously I was born in the UK, but I also am Ghanaian. It's to really bring back culture into fashion. You were saying earlier on that you don't get to see many people of color within this space. And I feel like we have a really amazing story to tell.
Amazing, of course.
So I'm like, I want to tell that story, and I don't want to hide the fact that I am a hybrid, a cultural hybrid. And regardless of sort of colonial past, there are ways in which I've made it work for me.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes, you know, when you go to Ghana, people are like, are you Ghanaian?
Yeah, where you from?
You come to UK, you're like, are you British?
Yeah.
So
Whatever question.
exactly right. So it's just trying to bring that all together and celebrate that.
Yeah. I love obviously this. I love that word of kind of storytelling, telling your story.
Yeah.
So what would you say? What gave you the confidence to start your brand? You know, what gives you, what kind of motivates you?
Okay, so I really like fairy tales.
Oh, do you?
And when I was a child, I always wanted to be the princess.
Okay.
My favorite fairy tale was Sleeping Beauty. Why does that matter? Well, I love the transformation part. So it was like always a rags to riches story, etc. And sort of coming from a background where I didn't necessarily have everything, I think my parents always instilled in me to make something of yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I got to school, I just excelled in the arts. I loved expressing myself in that way.
Yeah.
And so I guess really what drives me with Korlekie and why I came into fashion is because I was really good at it. And then I fell in love with it.
Right.
And people fell in love with me, seemingly. And I guess I just decided to tell more of that story and develop my craft even more.
So what else inspires you? I know you've mentioned, obviously, Ghana, your heritage, and everything like that, but what actually inspires you to actually create these unique garments?
So I think it's been a bit of a it's a journey, and I feel like there isn't really one thing that inspires me, because when you are a cultural hybrid, I think you just take in everything. And even though my heritage did inspire me, I would say not very consciously. It's only been till now when I'm like, I'm just going to own the fact that I'm Ghanaian and that I'm British, and whatever I do make, try and understand the reference where it comes from. Before, I was just doing it based on concept and identity and ideas and what I loved. So I feel like now when I go back and understand, let's say, the Krobo culture in Ghana and the way in which they make these gorgeous glass beads, for instance, etc., I try and understand that technique, and then I bring it into whatever I'm doing. Likewise with the sort of British culture, I'm not the sort of person that settles for, just the foundational level. I like to go a bit more in depth into it. And so when I was experimenting in my MA, I actually did digital fashion at London College of Fashion, not fashion design.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And someone recommended me to do the course. And I was like, I never told you I wanted to do robotics. I mean, what is digital fashion? And I feel like it's a bit of one of those things where it could be anything and everything, right? So I went to this talk with Boudica, who were sort of residents within London College of Fashion at the time. And they were playing with like UV mapping, etc. And UV mapping is, they use for games and creating 3D technology, and they have these gorgeous entwining meshes, etc. And I was like, I want to create that in knitwear. I want to do that. And so it was just a bit of trial and error and figuring things out. And in that process of trying to understand lace making, so seeing knitwear from a very different perspective, I found this very ancient, I guess I can say British or European technique called hairpin lace. And it was something that they were doing, I think, in the Victorian times, where women who had like the hairpins, two prongs, and they would just knit in between it. But when you look back, there was an article actually posted on my Instagram about a couple of weeks back, and it was saying that whilst very beautiful, there's nothing you can do with hairpin lace to make it sort of commercially viable. So it just died, and not many people do it. So I was like, well, that's a niche. I could do that. And I started creating it with leather cord, which no one was doing in the knitwear space as well. I created that dress. And so that was from my MA collection, and Rita Ora wore that for one of the red carpets, which was for me one of the highlights. I was like, wow, okay. And then I guess it's just been me developing my craft and experimenting with sort of different fibers and materials now. So, for instance, here we go.
Next question. Samples.
I mean, I think the leather's super sexy, and I definitely want to continue with that. But I sort of started working with this gorgeous sateen type of cord, which is a lot more malleable, and I think just has a bit more of a luxurious feel to it. So I started creating these tops, and then sort of met you guys. I was like, I love your peacock ademe fabric. It's African, and I want to experiment with what we could do with it. So this is our collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess how I like to work is, this is kind of, I think it's very beautiful actually,
No,
when you've got
details.
you can see the detail, and
Yeah.
then you've got this, the fabric that really starts to enhance it.
Especially the sheen on
How
the
long did it
Yeah.
take you to make that? I mean, in terms of like, how long did it take you to crochet that piece?
It's a good question. I don't think I was timing myself. Because this is really just a sample for me. But let's say it takes, when I'm creating a sample, maybe an hour, because I'm figuring things out.
Right.
And I think once you start to put all the samples together, you begin to develop an idea of what things need to be, or, you know, and so...
Do you create your own pattern for it?
I do, yeah. So these are like the simple techniques for hairpin lace. So I'd say anyone can do that. But then I've developed a way to sort of start to shape and form it, because you can't really do that with any yarn as well. Otherwise, it would just collapse.
Okay.
So that was a lot of work that sort of for me to understand it. And now that I feel like I found it, you've got sort of these tops that I've started creating and selling, and people love the uniqueness of it. Because it's very different from the very traditional pineapple crochet lace.
Yeah. I think I also love the this idea of the importance of researching, like researching and knowing specifically where things are from, the context of things, and also like you were saying with the hairpin, you didn't expect to find it. So I think like always being curious.
Yeah.
You know, when you know, as a student, if you're kind of thinking of ideas or become obsessive about something, because you never know what could come up or what you could kind of find. I was going to ask, did you ever, you know, when you were like, you said you did your MA, and I know you lecture now as well.
Yeah.
But did you ever reach a point when you were kind of looking at your work where you didn't necessarily want to kind of explore your kind of heritage in your work? Was there never a time where you had that kind of battle?
I feel like there was always a time with that. So when I did my MA, it's funny because I met a lot of people. So I met Louise Wilson. I mean, we don't need to go down that story.
Oh, scary.
But I just felt like lecturers, when they saw me as a black woman or a person of color, they kind of deviated towards, oh, you're an African designer. So everything I did, because this wasn't sort of research based on African culture.
No.
But they were
You
like,
found your own method.
yeah. But then they would look at my work and I'd be like, oh, I can see the Messiah tribe in that. And I was like, that's not really what the reference point was. So I think that's why I've just, I think there's a good and a bad side to it. And I think if I embrace that, then it's on purpose. And so it doesn't bother me. But I think a lot of students of color, because of cultural references and everything that they design, there's always a sort of different mindset when I think the Western world sees it, and sometimes it's not necessarily come from that reference.
They associate
They
with.
associate with.
Yeah. What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh.
That's a loaded question.
That's
I know, but I'm just trying to think, because obviously recent graduates, we were where they were.
Yeah.
So what would you kind of advise? Or
I mean, I think everyone says this, but you don't really understand it until you get to that position. I would say, I would tell my younger self to be confident in who I am. And I think confidence is key. I mean, you guys were talking about it before. Right? If you don't have confidence, it's very easy to meet people who don't necessarily want to put you down, but everyone has an idea.
Yes.
So I can come to you and say, oh my God, have you thought about this, blah, 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 blah. And if you don't have a focused mind and are confident about what you're doing, you tend to do what other people are saying. My dad
sway with the wind.
Exactly.
I remember my dad used to tell me stories of this a proverb would be like, one time a man was designing a car, and then everyone would say, you should do this, you should do that. By the time he finished, it was a monster. This is basically saying to me, like, just do your thing. And I think once you kind of go through those trials and tribulations, you kind of figure out who you are. And I feel like I got to that point, and I'm like, this is what I do. And I feel quite confident in it, and doors are opening, just as it's opening for you guys.
But then also, I think the key is also that it takes time.
Yes.
And that's okay. But I wish someone would have told me that.
Me too.
Now, I feel like as a graduate, or if you told me now that old Simone, like 10 years ago, I won't give away my age, that number one, I would be lecturing. I would have been like, no way. I'd be lecturing in the same university that I studied in. I would have been like, no way. I can't see that. So I think it takes time, and it's okay if you're unsure. You know, if you're unsure, try different things.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a process of elimination, let's eliminate.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's also fine, because you don't know who you can meet or what will lead to. I think definitely, even if you have, obviously it's been COVID, so you haven't been able to do internships and things like that, and you're thinking of different areas, just try it, try it.
It's definitely a part of your journey.
It is.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you get to 10 years' time,
Yeah.
you'll definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, actually pick skills from that area,
Yeah.
that year.
Yeah.
I think it's
100%.
definitely important.
No,
Yeah.
I would agree with you. I think
Yeah.
if I had to give anyone advice, I
Yeah.
think it's the fact
Yeah.
that yes, it does take time, and actually what you learn in either your 3 to 4 years at university in your BA is actually a foundation.
Yes.
You never
Right.
stop learning
Right.
those.
Yeah.
You need to keep
Yeah,
on
yeah.
doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe the problem with, I wouldn't say this generation, but I think people in general, you've got
Yeah.
social media and it looks like people are just getting things
Yeah.
done
Yes,
very quickly,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there
It's
was
a
a
highlight
process, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would also say, find whatever you're interested in, whether it's sustainability or whether it's, robotics or whatever, print. Find your community.
Yeah.
We're very aware that our community isn't for everyone, maybe
Yeah.
necessarily, but find a community where you can get support or get feedback on your pieces or find that in some sort of way. And I think that will definitely just support you kind of moving forward.
Yeah.
Another question I had for you, Beatrice, is because you've done a lot of things around sustainability with the kind of the use of leather and different materials. Like, where do you see your kind of brand going next? What's kind of
Gosh, you're giving me loaded questions.
yeah? So where do you see the Korlekie brand going next?
So I think, if I have to be honest, it's great that we're having a conversation on sustainability, but I feel like sustainability is more than just the fabrication.
Yeah.
I think people would not like to hear this, but it's true, as you can't be 100% sustainable. So I think for me, as long as brands and especially for Korlekie, you have that in mind, everything you do is a sustainable process and development. So that, for me, what I'd love to see my brand is, if I'm hiring anyone to do my work, it's paying them a fair wage.
Yeah.
It's educating them, because sometimes we forget about the people in our companies, and they're doing consistent things, they can't move forward.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, education. And then obviously, sort of going back down to the product, it's quality. And that's always been a fundamental thing for me with knitwear especially. I never wanted my clothes to just be seen as knitwear. I want people to look closely at the fabric and be like, is that knitwear? Or, whatever.
Yeah, what could it be? Yeah.
Exactly. So quality. And then also on the fabrications, just ensuring that wherever it comes from, it's sourced responsibly.
What's your favorite material to work with?
Oh, do you know what? I'm really loving the satin cord right now.
Okay.
But I think leather is my signature, because I started with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I want to pioneer as something no one else is doing before within the knitwear space. So, yeah.
I think it would also be interesting to see how your work would be in a more digital way as well. Would you think you'd kind of take it in that kind of digital
100%.
kind of space?
So the great thing, it's funny because, because of COVID, Instagram exploded with all these different digital technologies.
Yes,
and I was
yeah,
like, in 2012, I was doing that already with holograms, etc. But you wouldn't have known unless you were in that space where I was, because we were quite underground at the time. But I've already done like a digital catwalk before.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it's on my Instagram. But I think even, we're moving into the space of, let's say, NFT tokens, where you can buy things virtually and trust your avatar. And I think it's super fun. So, why not? And I think brands should be thinking about that towards the future. I mean, that's the new e-commerce for me, right?
No, 100%, yeah.
You want to get into more tech.
Yeah.
That space alone is definitely advancing. So why not just take advantage of it?
Right.
No,
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
And so where can people kind of follow you if people want to hear more about the kind of Korlekie brands?
So right now it's all Instagram, isn't it? It's happening there. So just the simple thing is at Korlekie, my name's there. And then you can find everything where you can just sort of go into my website or shop the pieces, I guess. So
Amazing.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Perfect.
That is more or less the end of our talk. Right?
Yeah, I think we've come to the end of our
End of our
talk.
talk. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in, for coming in as well. We really appreciate it. And thank you to GFW as well for having us.
Yes.
You can also find us at www.blackgirlknitclub.com.
Yes.
Our Instagram and socials at Black Girl Knit Club.
Yeah.
keep in touch with us.
Yes,
Definitely.
And our book is coming out in October, like we mentioned. So
Yes.
please
Amazing.
give us a follow on Instagram. And again, for all graduates tuning in, congratulations again.
Yes.
And we hope that this, talk has inspired you. And again, as we were mentioning, it sounds simple. Any idea that you have, push forward. Find your community and build your confidence.
Yeah.
And we hope you
Stick to your vision.
stick to your vision. I like it.
right.
This is always manifesting the words. Stick to
Sunday service today.
Yes.
Stick to your vision. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
For having us. Thank you.